Go. All right. Welcome everyone to our first inaugural kickoff of the Real Talk Show hosted by Rochelle Lawson, Queen of Fabulous from Blissful Living, and myself, Dr. Kim Brown Barber, better known as Dr. Kim from Journey to Becoming. Real Talk is a live stream podcast designed with the mindset of connecting and inspiring, motivating, supporting, and uniting women around the world. It is a safe place where women can come together to discuss real issues, right? Real issues and challenges that women are facing in today's society. It has been designed to be a safe place where women can come and give their wisdom, they can receive wisdom, and they can just talk about how we can make this world a better place. And you know, we definitely need that right now. And we as women, we can do that. Open, honest, and loving conversation. So a little bit about me. I'm the founder and CEO of Journey to Becoming, which exists to coach clients in their journey to their purpose, to develop the strategy, motivation, empowerment, and accountability required to succeed in their businesses, classes, universities, and personal lives. So we basically focus on women and college students. So Rochelle, Queen of Fabulous, tell us a little bit about you.
All right, love to. Hi, I'm Rochelle Marie Lawson, the Queen of Feeling Fabulous, and I am a seasoned entrepreneur. This is my 31st year being in business. I have two businesses, one that I've had for 31 years almost in September of this year. And then the second business is one that I've had for 12 years. Two different type of businesses. I'm a top 50 woman-owned business in Silicon Valley for many consecutive years. I've been everywhere. I was invited speaker on Capitol Hill 3 times in the 90s and early 2000s, and I have spoken on Capitol Hill. I'm an advocate for women, and I've held several board of director positions on healthcare, conglomerate, so to speak, as well as the National Association of Women Business Owners. I'm a past president and a former national board member, and so many other things. But that would take the whole show if I tell you everything I did. But really about empowering women and helping us to step into being fierce, fearless, and unstoppable. It is our time, and that is why me and Dr. K decided to have this Real Talk show, so that we have a place that we can come together as women to talk about issues that affect us and how we can help connect, unite, inspire, empower, strengthen, motivate other women around the world to step into their greatness and to step into doing what they are here to do. And so I will shut up now and let's roll, Dr. K, with it.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm excited. We have some fabulous guests with us on our talk show today. I'm going to let them talk to you a little bit about who they are. Sada Sanchez and Kimberly Hudson. So Sada, kick us off. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, can I just say that I feel so humbled in everyone's presence here. But thanks for having me. My name is Sada Sanchez. I am an educator. I work at Cal State University, Monterey Bay, and have had the majority of my professional experience coupled with my own educational experience. So I worked in higher education, starting at the community college level. My first year in college in 2002. And have been in higher ed ever since. And I currently sit as the associate director of the College Assistance Migrant Program, which is a student services program for freshmen, first-gen, low-income students who come from a seasonal farm working migrant background. And I'm just couldn't be happier to now find myself in that position, working with these amazing group of students, navigate their education and hopefully light some fires within and get them to see all the amazing things that we all see in them and their capabilities. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Welcome. We are so glad. And we just had Anna Maria Ross join us as well. Thank you. So Kimberly Hudson, we're going to let you go ahead and kick us off next with Real Talk, one of our other guests.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be with y'all tonight and just talk about this such an important topic. Just talking about women and our.
Don't give it all away though. They don't know yet. Don't give it all away yet.
Good catch.
So I previously owned a clinic and focused on students who had literacy and learning challenges. I sold that a few years ago and started an educational foundation so that I could take that out into the trenches a little bit more and to the underserved population, especially out in Appalachia, which you can tell by my accent is close to home for me. And then I started a health and wellness business because a lot of my students showed up in my clinic and in the schools, and they just they were not eating healthy. They weren't if they weren't getting their bodies healthy and their parents weren't being healthy, it was really hard. They were having additional learning challenges. So I'm excited to be here and excited about what we're going to be talking about. So thanks for the invitation.
Awesome. Great. You see, we are among some heavy hitters here. Anna Maria Ross, if you can just tell us just a little bit about yourself before we get into the topic for Real Talk today.
Good evening, ladies. Thank you for the invitation. I'm Anna Maria Ross. I am a speech language pathologist. I've been doing this almost 25 years now. I've had a variety of experiences working with early intervention. I've worked in hospital settings, skilled nursing facilities. My passion is more elementary children, pediatrics, speech language pathology, which is what I'm doing currently. I've worked with everything from pre-K through high school, and I'm currently working in the elementary school area right now. So that's just something I enjoy.
That's awesome. So you see, we have just a vast, Rochelle, what do you think about our guests? We just have a vast, about experiences, a vast, diverse type of background. What do you think?
A vast amount. I think it's fabulous. I think we should jump right in and open up.
All right.
Topic of the day.
Well, we'll give it. What's the topic for today? Rochelle, you want to roll it out?
So, as women, I really don't think women around the world truly understand the power that we have. And in this new year, in this new day and age, this new arena for us in the United States, we have accomplished a significant milestone in many, many, many ways. First of all, we have a woman vice president that is going to be inaugurated tomorrow. Not only that, she is a woman of color, which in my lifetime, I would have never thought that would have happened. I think the last woman I remember running for vice president was Geraldine Ferraro, and am I dating myself? But this is extremely powerful. And so we're opening up the conversation today for all of you women out there watching us to join us and chime in if you want to, or, whatever. But we're opening up the dialogue today because I want to know, or me and Dr. K want to know, how do you all feel about having a female woman of color as the first vice president of the United States? And so let's just talk real about it. Everybody may not be as happy as I am, and that's okay, but we need to have this dialogue because this dialogue will bring us together. And once we can understand each other's point of view, we can help each other, to support each other, to lift each other up. And here's the thing, we don't always have to agree about things to be able to help each other, right? Sometimes the not agreeing is the best lesson because you get to learn something about the other side that you may have not known about, and it helps to elevate your intellect so that you can step into making better choices as you travel down your path to bliss. So that's it. Let's talk about our first female woman of color, Vice President Kamala Harris, from my great home state of California. Like in the Bay, how we do. I want to ask you ladies, and I want to ask you, I guess, Kimberly first. What what are your thoughts about, first of all, Ms. Kamala Harris as our soon-to-be Vice President of the United States?
Well, I'm a mom of 3 girls. So I want my girls to see that they are able to go accomplish whatever they set their mind to, and that they are not limited just because of their race. They're not limited because they are male or female, and that just it's wide open. And so I think they're finally going to be able to see that. And so I'm excited about it. I'm not worried about whether you agree from a political standpoint or not. I'm excited that we're just being able to see a female rise and give our kids somebody that they can really look up to.
Yeah,
I love it.
exactly. Really, just it's definitely a woman's empowerment piece right now. If people just look at it and get out of the political head and just look at it as the women empowerment piece. So I totally get that. So, I mean, Anna Maria, how do you feel about Kamala Harris, getting ready to get inaugurated, tomorrow and be, one of the, first women of color in this vice presidential position?
Lots of mixed emotions. Just as an African American woman, our history, although we're all women, our history is somewhat different than our fellow sisters. We've been women who came from an oppressive state. We were enslaved, and to come from that and to be at this point here, it has so many different ramifications and meanings. It's very moving when I think of the toil that the women before her to get to this place, what that means and what that means to them, that she is standing on the shoulders of those that went before her. I think of Shirley Chisholm and Barbara Jordan, who were in Congress and fighting for these opportunities. And so for her to be here at this moment, for us to have arrived at this moment, it's very momentous. And for us to be able to witness this, as you stated earlier, it's something I didn't expect us to see. So to have this opportunity for young girls to know they've grown up knowing that there was an African American president, and now for this next generation to know that there is a possibility of not just an African American president, but also a vice president, and that this is a very real and tangible thing that you can achieve and aspire to, is just very momentous on so many levels.
I agree. I mean, I can share stories about when I first started my business in Silicon Valley, African American woman in a male dominated industry, and I was the only one. And I kept thinking, I'm doing this for the girls that come behind me, the women that come behind me. And I know sometimes that it was a numbers game. I've been playing that numbers game all my life since I was a little girl, but I have a daughter as well. And I wanted her to know that no matter what you do, there's nothing. If you want to do something, there's nothing that can stop you but you stopping yourself. And so to see Kamala Harris as, this woman that potentially could be running the United States, because, I love Joe, but Joe, he's a little older man. It's just great, because I think for girls out there, no matter what color, what race you are, it gives you hope that no matter what, it may be a man's world, but a woman can navigate. We can bob and weave and get to where we want to by the strength of our knowledge, by the strength of our credibility, by our confidence, and by having some people surrounding us and supporting us and helping to elevate us to wherever we want to go and be that great person. So I'm super jazzed. Now, what about you, Sada? What do you think about the conversation we're having with regards to, our first woman of color, or basically our first female vice president to be able to take office tomorrow?
Yeah, so many firsts. It's really incredible. I definitely, I'm just sort of, as I'm listening to everyone speak, I'm just sort of taking stock of what I've been privileged enough to experience in terms of, the election of President Barack Obama, first African-American president, and now with, Vice President Kamala Harris is just such a privilege that this is happening in my lifetime, that I can share this with my family, with my niece especially. And so one of the things that I'm super excited, I can't believe it's happened. I'm cautiously happy. I think just because of the state of where we find ourselves in this country, I think from a historical context, everybody, in my opinion, should be jumping for joy. Like, I think this will be a day that, politics aside, everything that we have experienced in this last year aside, historically, this is momentous. And yes. I think from a historical standpoint, will be seen as an achievement in our lineage as a people, which is amazing. But that being said, I think just the climate and the state of things and everything that we've experienced with the pandemic, with inflamed racial injustice and what we've experienced, I'm happy, but I'm also I can't separate the fact that there's so many people who see this in a different light, and sure. Just that feeling of division. Even though I don't want to recognize it, it's hard not to. It's hard.
It's real talk. It's real talk. This is where it's a safe place. Yeah. We're having this real talk. Yeah.
I mean, so we have to acknowledge that. So please, share your thoughts behind that, because I think in order for us to be able to come together, we got to see, we got to have it all out on the table.
Yeah, it's really an incredible time. I'm just thinking, daughter of an immigrant, I'm the granddaughter of an immigrant. There's so many threads that ring true, that make me emotional.
Sure.
The students that I serve, for both, my male students, my female students, our non-binary students, to see that, like, sure. All these labels that we put on each other, these identities that we ascribe to ourselves, that we ascribe to others, leadership is leadership. She can get the job done. The people who, and like, we've seen that, and that's why she's there. And that's why the team is there that is, about to be inaugurated tomorrow. And being just so overwhelmingly happy and proud about that, but also understanding that there is a ridiculous amount of scrutiny that she's about to undergo simply because of her identity, because she is a woman, that we all know what that is because we've experienced it as females, and then as females of color. So it's like she's got 2 and 3 layers, but just seeing her bravery, her strength, recognizing that, and she just seems so ready for the task. It's just incredibly overwhelming, and I just can't believe that it's happened. And knowing that it's gonna happen, this is it. It's going to happen. This is forever, in the smallest of settings and on the largest scale.
Exactly.
And just really excited about it and ready for the fight. I really feel sort of figuratively, in my own little corner, just ready for that fight. And I feel like we've all been fighting our own little fight, and we know what that's about. And so we can empathize and really be in a woman's corner in that way. Politics aside, we can get behind, her fight and see that as our fight.
I love it.
I love it. I love it. That's exactly where we should be. It is our fight, right? Yes, as women, like all of you have said, politics aside, as a woman, you should be backing her up, because even as I believe Anna Maria spoke about how many shoulders she is standing on to fight to even get here. So, we give homage to her, but also to all those other women who got us to this point where we could experience this type of opportunity and see this, right? But I also think that, because this is interesting too, because this is almost like the underdog story, because in October 2019, she started losing votes. and started losing footing in the race where she was, and guess where she was losing the footing? In California. So that is interesting. And then how all of a sudden, just, in a matter of months, everything turned around. So that just goes to show you too that, for women who, us all about out there in the live stream and us here, that, no matter what the fight is and what we're doing, even if it looks glim, even if it looks, like it's not going to be a positive outcome, even if it looks like it's dark, that you keep fighting, because the light will come. The light will come.
Ah, yes. It's interesting because with her regards to her track record in California, she was the attorney general that put the most African American males in the penitentiary system in California. And so, everything is not sugar coated and sweet and fancy and candy with her, so to speak. Whatever her rationale and reasoning was for that, I don't understand. I don't pretend to understand, but the important part is that she's a woman, and I'm here to support her. I don't know what she was looking at when she's looking at those cases. However, I do know I do have some other feelings about it, but maybe we'll save that for another talk. But the bottom line is, with regard to women here in the United States, it was just little over 100 years ago that we didn't even have the right to vote. We weren't even considered smart enough to be able to make a decision to vote who's going to be running, not the country, but our lives. And the fact that today we can stand up as a woman in the United States, where whether you're black, white, brown, yellow, green, whatever color you are, the fact that you can stand up and say 100 and a couple years later, we got a woman vice president in the White House, in Washington, that's huge, because there are some women that died for us to even have the right to vote. And we so far since then. So kudos to all of us women, because we did come together to bring that sister in the house. But kudos to us for realizing that we are powerful and we do need to support each other. You don't have to support each other politically in the political agenda, but as women, we need to support each other. And we do that all the time. We all got girlfriends. We don't like the way they live, but we're going to support her no matter what. And I think that's how I consider Kamala. I may not like what she did in California with, the African-American males, but I'm going to support her because she's a woman, and she, she has the power to change a lot of things. And so for the betterment of women in general, no matter what color you are. So I think it's great. And I think that is really good that around the world, they're looking like, look at the United States. They just had a few years of, and now they've got a woman in a place that no woman has ever treaded in. So I think it's just monumental. And the women around the world, they're gonna be like, well, if they can do it in the United States, why can't we do it here? Why can't we do it in Afghanistan? Or why can't we do it in the Sudan? Or you know what I'm saying? We're giving women around the world inspiration to at least take that inch forward on their journey, so that they can change their lives for the benefit of their people. So absolutely amazing.
Yes, I think it's awesome. And I think you bring out a good point. And that is, how we are impacting women around the world, not only in political arenas, but just in life. What does it mean? What does it mean? Because women around the world are watching this. You better believe that. I don't care whether they are able to say something and voice it, no matter what country they're from, they are watching this. But what does it say to you? Not only just as a political, I'd like to hear from our guests, what does it really say, in essence, to women in general, what you can do? What is it really saying? How do you think this is going to impact even in months to come, in years to come? How do you think that impact and that evolution is going to happen? I mean, just kind of being able to speculate. Kimberly.
Well, I hope it really, just as it was highlighted during the election, when the results came in and it just said the glass ceiling's been broken, and you just kind of saw that ringing out among people. And you think, it really was just broken. And like, what does
Yes.
that mean? And again, it's the not just the mom of girls, but I just think of my students that I've gone to bat for and that I've had to fight for, things that
Yes.
have been really unjust that I really shouldn't have had to go to bat for them over that. And I just hope there's some respect, because I think she's going to face some instances of really being disrespected, and
Sure.
and so
Oh,
just
yeah.
that there's some respect, but that she will have the grit, and but we can all encourage and just keep pushing her forward to encourage her, because I think this can just be the beginning, and that hopefully in 100 years people will be saying, "Wow, look, 100 years ago this just happened, but look what's going on now."
Sure. The impact, the domino effect. Okay,
Mhm.
guys, let's break some ceilings. Let's act like we're breaking some ceilings. They're breaking the ceiling. Break the ceiling, break the ceiling, break the ceiling.
Mhm.
All right. Okay, she got the two-hand breaking the ceiling. All right now. I love it. Rochelle got the two-hand breaking the ceiling. Okay. She looks like one of those video games. Okay, I love it. I love it. Okay, what about you, Sada?
Well, I'm just so excited. I'm just like excited about it. It's just, I just think it's a beautiful thing. I mean, I know being a woman in Silicon Valley, how hard it was for me to penetrate not only the basement ceiling, let alone the glass ceiling. So, I just think it's just powerful. I'm super excited. I know she's going to face all kind of scrutiny, and she's going to even face probably more scrutiny than she realizes from women.
Sure.
However, she got the job, and so hey, you know, we're just gonna have to roll and see how things play out. But I want to ask, is I can't see. I'm sorry, my glasses. Anna Marie or Anne Marie?
Anna
Anna Marie.
Maria.
I want to ask you, Anna Marie. I want to ask you with regards to a message or something that you want to share that you think will help other women to be inspired by what's happening here in the U.S. What would you say to women that are looking at us and having this real conversation? What would you say to them about what's happening and what's getting ready to happen in our country?
Well, I'm gonna kind of go back a little bit when we were talking about women looking around the world. 'Cause we're in some ways we have broken a major glass ceiling, but in some ways we kind of are a step behind, even though as her being a woman of color in this position, there have been other women globally that are empowered, just like Angela Merkel in Germany. She's getting ready to step down this year. So
Mm-hmm.
she is a very forceful, powerful woman. Think about Margaret Thatcher in Britain, Great Britain, and also I can't think of her name right now, but the president in New Zealand, I want to say she is also a female. So we do have examples of females. I also think of
Yeah.
Indira Gandhi as well years ago. So we've had some females. So globally, we're still, even though we're supposed to be the superpower of the world, we still haven't quite lived up to that. We've we've made some statements towards that, but we haven't always lived up to what we've said we are or who we are as a country. So I think we need to step back and not just put so much focus on us being the best. We want to be the best, but we also want to bring along others with us. And so as women, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the real key. We have to remember that we are as good as we can be because of those we surround ourselves with. We want to make ourselves better. We want to surround ourselves by other women who are going to make us better and brighter and keep growing, not tearing each other down by pettiness,
Mm-hmm.
jealousies, in theory, just insecurities. We need to
Mm-hmm.
get past those things. And they're not easy things to get past, but we need to celebrate one another. We need to rejoice in one another. We need to honor one another, respect one another, and
Mm-hmm.
lift each other up, because this shouldn't be such a nuanced thing. It's really something that should be ongoing, and we need to stop just labeling those things that are negative or as negatives when we need to be bringing out the positives in each other and celebrating those positives in one another.
Mm-hmm. That's
I
real talk
agree.
right there.
Yeah, I agree. There was something I saw, this was quite a while ago, and I can't remember the exact context, but it was like there's these gals, and one of the girls had her crown on, where her crown fell off and got dirty and it broke. And so instead of the other women around her joining her, another sister along with her on that journey said, "Here, you know what? Pick up your crown. We'll dust it off. We'll clean it off and get it fixed. But until we get your crown fixed, you can wear mine as we continue on this journey." And I think that is, something that we as women need to think about. We're not going to always like each other. We're not going to always agree with each other. We're not going to always, not pass judgment on each other. But it's when we come together in collaboration and we let all that pettiness and all that, girl, look at her shoes, don't match her dress, or, her makeup is too loud, or whatever, her hair is not, whatever. When we can get past all of that and look at coming together for the betterment of humanity, for the betterment of us, we've got people watching us, our kids, our grandkids, I think that's where the change with women will begin and will become ferocious, so to speak. And so I agree. We've got a lot, and we are behind. I mean, Margaret Thatcher was bomb. She was the prime minister, and she was bomb. She did not play. She ruled. I don't want to say with an iron fist, but she was great. And so the U.S. is always a little bit behind on some things. I mean, but we've made some great strides in my lifetime that I've never ever thought. I remember when Tupac put out a song, bless his heart. Do I sound real Southern then? When Tupac put a song out, bless his heart, about never seeing a black president. Well, he didn't get to see a black president, and when he made the song, I had no idea that I would get to see a black president because he was just rapping about it in the song. And then we had the beautiful, and just very eloquent and very sincere Barack Obama, and the queen behind him, Michelle Obama.
Definitely.
And so, now to be able to say, yeah, we have a black president and we have a woman of color vice president, yeah, it's right. It's monumental. So, woo, yes,
it's a lot. I mean, but Sarah, I wanted to hear from you. Yeah, exactly. So, Sarah, what do you feel now? Because Anna Marie actually brought up a good topic. What do you feel about women being able to support and uplift each other and not tear down each other? Because we've seen this in different venues sometimes, and even in our own circles, right? In our own friend circles or colleague circles or whatever. I mean, what are your thoughts about that, and how maybe this particular monumentous occasion and event will help to maybe solidify and maybe solidify and fill in the gaps in those spots where we've been a little bit challenged?
Yeah, I really agree with what Anna Maria was, saying that certainly this is not a moment to be taken lightly, and I think we can really find ourselves obviously celebrating this amazing achievement for women, but I think similar to what we saw with the election of President Obama, it was like, okay, great, we have a black president, racism is done, now let's move on. And then arguably we saw some of the worst, almost Jim Crow era policies passed over the last 4 years as a result of that. And so I think as women, we have to collectively, every shade of us have to work together and bring our brothers along with us, because they're as at a deficit as we are in seeing women in this subjugated position that we've all grown up with historically, right? And of course, in the United States, we have our own nuances about what that means for females and males and folks, non-binary in between, and where does everybody fit? And so I think we have to do the work. I think this is actually our responsibility to bring each other along. But I also feel like we are really good at that, and we know how and why that's important. And I think we can all think about our own personal experiences with, maybe queen bees and bullying and things like that. But I can tell you, I've had also opportunities where instant sisterhood has happened, and that has trumped any negative experience I've ever had with other women and who were competing for, in academia or for a job or just having an instant woman in my corner just because she had love for me or just was woman enough to be okay with herself to offer that love without any questions and without asking me what my agenda was and what my motive was, just like stand out above any negative experience I've ever had with another woman. And so, it's just that intentionality of, it might be cheesy, but that intentionality of being purposeful in your acts of love, right? Like love
that's good.
So many different interpretations of love, and that can be extending a hand to a mentee and giving them that same position as you move up, giving them your position, right? Or just that mentorship or, that education of our girls and our boys. And I think that's a lesson that, being in a university, I'm an older millennial, and so I have my own ideas about how I was raised and sort of lean certain ways. But being exposed to Gen Zs and to hearing how they were brought up, I really feel like, we can really learn something from their sense of inclusivity and just certain identities and certain ideas around separation, and that makes you and that just don't matter. And I think that's so cool. And I really think that, that is something that maybe we can really tap into and get an idea of like, okay, well, what does that mean for you? And help us older generations as we start to get on and move, up in our experiences, just sort of help us to move forward, because things are moving really fast. And I certainly see things moving, feeling like that might be moving too fast for some people in my family. And I understand, like, I can see that. And I think being empathetic to that, like, hey, we need to have some discussion around how things are moving fast and why that's not a direct attack on you and your beliefs, but we can talk that out. And because I think that in and of itself is what's helping to create this divisiveness. Like, I don't know about those people that things that they want, too much too quick in my day, or, well, this is what I'm used to. And I think, forums like this where folks can talk in a real way is helpful to sort of bridge those barriers, because at the end of the day, it's good for business for everybody, for females to be in power, for people of color to be in power, for, men to be like, it's good for business, because then we have diversity in solutions, diversity in ideas. We can tackle our biggest problems with the best and the most brains in the room, right? So, if we can have those conversations and do that in a way that is loving and open-minded, which I realize is saying a lot, I think we as females, because we've had so much practice in that, in being subjugated and oppressed in that particular way, when we think about, being overly sexualized and seeing it in a particular light and objectified, we already understand in that lens what that fight is about and why we are better in numbers, just for our own physical safety. Like, unfortunately, we've had that practice, right? Like, so this is another arena. This is a different fight, where I think, the numbers matter. And I think that could be seen at the beginning as an affront, but it's not. And I think just with intentionality of love and care, it could be met maybe accepted a little bit more openly by folks who might be feeling like too much too soon. This is not my jam. So I know I was all over the place with my thoughts, but to get the short answer, Kim, is I think we need to, as women, I think we need to do it. I think it's our, part of our responsibility to do it, because we're the only ones who can actually like continue to break, all those little pieces of glass that are still stuck in the larger lens, right? Yeah, but we need to make sure that another glass ceiling doesn't replace that.
Right.
Other idea, because you guys made these positions, so we no longer need X, Y, and Z policies to ensure that diversity and equal opportunity and equal access is actually maintained. So but I think we've done it. We know how to do it, and so I think we're the best one from a female perspective to bring that to the largest stage on the planet.
So I want to ask you ladies, and any of you, feel free to chime in. Have you come across any woman that you had a conversation with regards to us having a female vice president? Have you come across any woman that you've talked to that has not been thrilled with the fact, again, besides all political parties, but has not been thrilled with the fact that we have our first female vice president? Has anybody experienced any conversations where anybody was apprehensive or didn't have anything positive to say about that point in general? Well, that's great. That's
right.
Great.
I was gonna say, is that a no? I mean, I think it's great, but I also am kind of cautious of, is it because we're just everybody's so focused on, because how everything has kind of transpired, everybody's so focused on getting this team in, and then it really hasn't sunk in. I think a lot of this hasn't really sunk into a lot of women yet, or a lot of men. I think it just hasn't sunk in all the way that she's the first woman of color to be in this position. And yeah, some have figured it out and it's sunk in, but I think a lot of people have not even, I don't think that it's resonated all the way. I think a lot of it will start resonating when we start seeing a lot more of her in the White House, right? Giving, more of the talks and leading the nation and doing different things alongside President-elect Joe Biden. I think it'll start to resonate more. But I mean, that's a great question, though, Rochelle. What kind of conversations are we having, real talk, on the outside of it? I haven't. Have you, ladies?
I haven't, but I also wonder if it's partially because of the nature of the beast right now. We're in the middle of COVID, so we haven't had an opportunity to engage, interact, and surround ourselves. I know in my own circles, no, but I also haven't really been in places where I would be encountering others who may be of a different mindset. But I will say this, I was just listening. I'm a little bit of a nerd, and I'm proud of that. But I'm an NPR addict, and they were just airing a piece on the first female physician, and they were sisters. And I had heard about years ago, but just, you hear it and you don't think about it anymore. But the commonality, and I found this even within the mindset of women that I grew up around, they did not necessarily embrace, obviously, these women, these first female doctors. And in fact, many of the women discounted them and discredited them because it was a negative connotation to go to a female physician. So I say that to say, as the first female vice president, I am certain that, like you said, she is going to encounter, like, she can't do this job because she is a female, or that's not been done before, she shouldn't do it. So I'm sure that that mindset is very prevalent. And I know even a member of my church years ago would never go to a female physician, only a male doctor. And I'm thinking, but you're a female. I never understood that.
We'll have a female nurse take care of her all day long. Because so it's really to a male physician.
Right. But it's a mindset and ideology that is so very deeply entrenched that I think women of another generation, I don't want to mispronounce your name, Sada. Okay. As she was saying, so many other people I just lost my train of thought there. But anyway, but you know, many other people,
It's all good.
many other people just don't want to embrace those ideologies, or don't want to think about people in that way. They're fine with staying in that little mindset and not going beyond that. So we have to really kind of expect and anticipate that. But I just find it very interesting. For me, I prefer female physicians. My dentist is a male, but every other doctor I have is a female. So that's my goal. But it's interesting. Women of different generations, they're more entrenched in that mindset. And I think as we've evolved, each generation is a little bit more embracing and accepting than some of the older generations are or had been.
I think you're right. I mean, it's funny because when I was in clinical practice in the emergency room hospital setting, I was the only female RN wherever I worked. And I was surrounded, my boys they were male RNs, but they were my boys, right? And it would be funny because the older generation, I would say just any generation, to be honest, when one of my male colleagues would walk in as an RN, they'd be like, "Oh, the doctor? No, he's a nurse." Oh, or they would say, "Oh, doctor," and I'd be like, "Oh, he's a nurse," or he would be like, "Oh no, I'm a nurse. I'm your nurse," and it's just that assumption, right? You know, then they'd be like, "Well, how can a man be a nurse?" I'm like, the same. A woman can be a doctor. Lots of education, right? Passing those exams.
That's right.
It's the mindset. You're absolutely right. It's the mindset. It's like, here's the other thing that I think is pivotal for women to really, I know I'm going to be like stirring up some stuff here, but when it comes to someone making a decision about what I do with my body, I really don't think a man should be telling me what I do with my body, because I cannot tell him what he can do with his body. And I think the fact that we have a female vice president may help circumvent some of that discussion that have been going on. So to me, if you want to, and it doesn't matter whether I'm pro-life, pro-choice, whatever, that's not the issue. It's the whole fact that a man is telling me what I can and cannot do with my body, but yet and still, I can't tell him that he can't go get that Viagra, or he can't Insight, or whatever else he needs for his, his enhancement. But he can tell me what I can do with my body. I have a problem with that, and I think one of the things, and I'm a healthcare professional by going on my third healthcare So here it is. It's like how we have a woman in a position of power that can give a voice to women. To give a voice to men about how we women feel about things. Now, she may not be saying what I want her to say with regards to how I feel about things, but the fact that we have a woman before is huge, and it's monumental. And I think we need to pay attention. And I think women need to stop standing behind the fact that they can't speak up, or if they say something is going to be incorrect. Just say it. Just say it. If that's how you feel, just say it. Don't say it to your girlfriend or behind closed doors, and then when it's time for you to speak, you don't want to say nothing because you might ruffle feathers. It's the ruffling of the feathers that causes things to change. If we wouldn't have the ruffling of the feathers that was exposed in 2020, things would not have changed. There would be no Black Lives Movement. There probably wouldn't be a female vice president. There wouldn't be a lot of things. And so it's okay to ruffle feathers, because the ruffling of the feathers is what gets things changed. And it's really what opens up dialogue and opens up our mind to, we don't have to accept it if we don't agree with it, but at least it opens up our mind to give us another point of view, and we could potentially see where that other individual is coming from. So having a woman in that position, I think is just, it's monumental on a lot of different levels.
Sure. Kimberly, I see you over there percolating. I see thoughts just kind of running. I just want you to release them.
I just keep thinking, we have to be willing to lead in our circles, and we have to set the example in our circles. And I think if we do that, and like for me, I want to lead, and I want to show my girls, what's appropriate, how to do that when I do need to listen, because there are times I need to be quiet and listen because I like to talk a lot. But the only way I'm going to learn from other people is if I do listen to them.
Sure.
But there's also assumptions of just assuming based on somebody's skin color or their gender or their socioeconomic class, like what their thoughts on something are. And sometimes we're too quick to make that assumption, and we don't allow that person to come to the conversation because we've already ruled them out because we think, well, they don't think like we do. And it's just like us all getting together tonight. You know, I'm sure if we put everything across the board, there's not everything we're going to line up on, but we're having a great conversation and we're learning from each other and we're encouraging each other. And I just think we have to step up, and we've got to do that in our circle so that we can show, until we do it in our own circle, it's not going to filter out and have that ripple effect, because we certainly have seen that has not been what's been going down in DC. You know, we haven't been able to extend kindness and just to listen and to lend that helping hand and just remember to be respectful. And I think she is going to face, I think Kamala is going to face sometimes of people trying to talk over her, which I think she's bold enough to not allow that to happen, but or to dismiss her. But if we lead in our own circle and don't allow that, maybe that can just be filtered across in other arenas.
I love it. I love it. I love how you're talking about leading in your own circles, because it does start with our own circles, right? It starts with where we are. I mean, what kind of conversations are we having or allowing where we are, whether it's with female, male, or whoever, is how are we leading? You know, how are we leading? And, you know, even like Sada was talking about the students. How are we leading young people, whether they be in the universities or outside of the universities? How are we leading them? You know, as women, being able to be out there and what they're seeing every day, not just what they're going to see tomorrow, but what they're seeing every day. And I think that's what builds us up, just like you said, Kimberly. And that's what makes the difference. Those are the grassroots type of activities and things that actually make the difference. Because if it doesn't happen in your circle and how you're leading, then you can see what's happening what's happening in the dark coming to the light. You can see what's been happening in the dark because of what came to the light just recently. So, you know, it's very, very important of how we lead in our own circles, behind the closed doors, if you will, how we're leading those conversations, how we're leading in action, so that when it comes to the light, it is something that is respectful, Kimberly, that it is something that is uplifting and encouraging. And you don't have to agree with everything, but at least the way I bring it about is going to be something somewhat in a way where it's respected, right? And where I would expect to be respected. So, yeah.
I agree.
So we are down to the last few minutes. One of the things I want to do as we close our first inaugural episode of the Real Talk Show, we want to be able to give our guests, first of all, thank you, guests, for being here with us tonight, taking your time. We are in different time zones. We are in, let's see, PST, EST, and Rochelle is Central.
CST.
CST.
Yeah,
see?
right now.
We got all the time zones covered. So we are so happy that everybody took time to, you know, be with us tonight, because we know the EST people and CST people, it's later, and so you could be doing anything. Thank you so much for that. But we want all of our guests to be able to leave the women with just one comment or encouraging comment that they would want to leave for everybody as we get ready to inaugurate our first woman of color vice president tomorrow. What would be that one thing that you would say? Let's start with Sada.
I think just an overwhelming sense of hope. That's how I feel. I hope you girls feel the same.
Overwhelming sense of hope. That's what you want to leave as far as with our live stream audience staying with us. Thank you. Very good. All right. Kimberly.
I just think gratitude and some excitement. I just want to encourage people to know, gosh, you can go accomplish anything. If Kamala can accomplish that, and looking at where we've come in 100 years, never think that you can't be impactful and that you can't make a difference. You've just got to be willing to take the risk and go do it, even if it means you're going to fall down, because you're going to fall down, but go for it anyway, because you never know where it's going to get you and then the impact that you can have.
Awesome. Anna Maria.
Just that we are stronger, braver, bolder, and wiser than we could ever think or imagine. And we just have to dare to dream and just to go forward and to empower and lead.
Awesome. Awesome. Rochelle, take us home.
So a point I do want to make is for women of color, you know, I talked about the suffrage movement with women back in the early 1900s when we women didn't even have a right to vote. But what I forgot to say is African American women, I'm not sure if it's really women of color, but I know African American women, we actually didn't get the right to vote until the civil rights movement in the 60s. So when you think about the last 50 something years, we've gone for not even having the right to vote because we were women of color and we obviously weren't smart enough to make a good decision, to having a woman of color as our vice president. We've done some monumental, some very large things. And so when you take a look at that, when you look at all of our history, just women in general, we are powerful. We are fierce. We are fearless. And when we want to get stuff done, we become some unstoppable badass chicks. And so my message to any woman out there that is looking at this is you can do whatever you want to do. All you have to do is imagine the possibilities, surround yourself with women that are like-minded, and those sometimes that are not like-minded, that will support you on your journey, will keep it real for you so that you can truly step in to unlimited possibilities in your life. And so never, ever, ever, ever give up hope, because you never know, that 1 inch forward step that you might take might be the whole change, the whole catalyst for a new beginning, for a new world, a brighter place for all of us, and particularly for you. So never, ever give up and always imagine the possibilities because they are limitless.
Awesome. So we will see you guys next time. We'll have more guests that'll be joining us, and you will be joining us. We want to hear from you, hear the questions that you want us to be able to address. But we look forward to more real talk real soon. Take care.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.